We're live now. How's it going? So yeah,
It's
so
going.
yeah. Before we go to
It's
this, you heard about the whole ceasefire thing, broken, something like that. I'm confused about the
yeah,
whole.
yeah. I haven't had a chance to review everything, but I did just see that Israel has announced that they're going to allow aid to come in again,
Yeah,
like first thing in the morning,
yeah.
which I think
I mean,
should be about now in Israel. So at least they've agreed to that, and I know Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are on their way back over there to see what's going on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing was confusing. I didn't. I was like, did anybody really think Hamas was going to disarm? The whole thing was set to fail. But do you agree with me,
I
or
think
maybe?
the difficulty, to at least from my perspective, is that there are militant groups in Gaza other than Hamas that still
Right.
want to kill people. So,
Yeah.
if people are dying or people are getting attacked there, it's hard to tell if that's Hamas or if that's just, one of the other dozen
Right.
jihadist groups that are over there.
No, no. I meant beforehand. Hamas was like killing their opposition, but it's true that the other groups they have there are like I did some research beforehand, a long time ago, but they're like ISIS level like terrorist groups. So
I think it's probably good that Hamas is killing their opposition, and I wouldn't even be too surprised if that's part of the deal because they're probably we have a deal, we have a negotiation with Hamas, but if they leave and then one of these other groups takes over, we don't have a deal with them. So I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if they were even like, "Hey, Hamas, like
yeah,
kill the other jihadists before you leave."
yeah,
I mean, someone's getting some kind of kickback from that, so we'll see what happens.
yeah. But let's see.
But
Anyways, let's
I'm
go.
not up to date. I haven't like read super closely of all the individual occurrences today, and I don't even know if it's all understood at this point. But
Yeah,
we'll see what's going on tomorrow.
yeah. I actually went to my first football game today, so that was actually good.
Oh, that's sick, man. Which game did you go to?
The Browns, they actually won today. So
Yeah,
like,
man, they had a good game.
yeah, yeah,
Who's
first time.
playing
Yeah.
at quarterback for them right now?
Dylan Gabriel, he's some short quarter. But the weird thing is, like, people are saying it's racism right now that they're not starting Sanders, but isn't Dylan Gabriel? I think he's like Hawaiian, but I don't know. I mean, whatever. I mean, like, one second, let me just get a picture of him. And, like, does he look to you like he's? I know people would just say racism, for what like they called Remember the whole Trayvon Martin thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Do I remember the? Yeah.
Even though he was like Hispanic, they still considered him like yeah, is there a picture of him? They still
Yeah, I
consider
can't even tell what this guy is. He just looks like a bunch. Okay, Filipino and native Hawaiian. Yeah.
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Yeah, but you can't
he's a
tell.
hodgepodge.
Yeah, is he white passing? That's I don't know, whatever.
No, I wouldn't. I would say no. I would say he
Yeah,
looks like some kind of Asian Islander,
yeah,
Pacific Islander.
right. Yeah. But anyways, here's the debate that happened. Not see too much of this debate. I'm being honest. The only part I did see was Gavin McInnes was speaking to Nick, and he gave a pretty good answer to the whole you as a celebrity thing. The thing about Gavin, he's not really good at debating, in my opinion. Do you think he's a good debater, or
Gavin, I actually, it's kind of a tough question. I find Gavin very persuasive. I think he has good
right? No,
like
of
talking
course.
points or if he's describing something. But if he's going head to head in a debate where someone's like pulling out facts and like, well, what do you think about X, Y, Z? And then he has to retort each one of those with having a large fact base. I don't know if he's super good at that, but I still found, I watched this or listened to this interview. I wasn't listening super closely, but I got the gist of it. And I thought Gavin did a fine job with his
Yeah.
positions.
Well, I mean, he's not gonna go. The thing is, he's not gonna go super aggressive with this whole debate on this. He's not going to like attack. That's the. Anyways, let's continue. Because he's friendly with Nick, he's
Hello,
not
Nick.
going
How are
to
you?
like,
Good. How you doing?
unless he's not gonna go like hard like he would of a person that he like hates or dislikes. But
Good, good. Oh, so I have so much to talk to you about. We have limited time. I guess we should get the Jews out of the way because I agree with you on pretty much everything, but I'm a Jewophile.
Yeah.
Zionist, love them. Does that like churn in your gut when I say that?
No, not
I
really.
love Jews.
Okay, that's
Who was that guy? Cody Derbyshire. I haven't checked in on Chestnut Couchface. What the fuck's his name?
I don't know.
He's a groiper. He tried to get on this network. Cody Chestnut?
Cody Chestnut?
What's his?
Oh, Pine Sap. Is that who
No, not that. No. This is long ago.
Okay.
He had his own show, and I think it was with you. I think you guys had a falling out. Oh, fuck. I'm starting out a show with a guy.
James Alsop?
No, it's a really weird name.
Oh.
Like Crispy Chester Buttons.
I don't know any.
Fuck. Look that up, sorry. I don't know what to look up. Anyway,
Real quick,
Do you know whatever happened?
Is he thinking of Jaden McNeil? Is that what he's trying to come up with?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know who he's trying to recall, but I think it might be Jaden.
Yeah, because that's the weird thing about Jane is many groupers hate him despite him being more based than Nick on everything. He's many of them just hate him simply because he hates Nick. It's actually pretty funny, the whole dynamic with. But I don't blame Jaden. I don't blame Jaden for wanting to hating Nick, because Nick really said he wanted to ruin his life to make it out of her. Yeah. So
I get it, but I think at the end of the day, I just wish people would, at a certain point, if you make it all that you're about, it just becomes too much wasted time on these vendettas, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, do you think as a tag he has enough to make it on his own? And speaking about other things, or
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what his fan base is like. I mean, I think he's a smart enough guy, and I think he should keep going and keep trying to focus on things that are not Nick.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, though, it's I don't know. Whenever he does not speak about Nick, sometimes the show does become boring, but people do like it. So maybe it's because I don't really agree with him. So I mean, I do agree with him politically, but yeah, I don't agree with him exactly on politics. But yeah,
that sounds
I would
like
say
hell.
a Zionist and stuff. And
what?
That sounds like hell to be stuck permanently having to just spend your time going after the guy that wronged you. I just think it's bad for the soul.
No, I feel because I do think he has when he speaks about stuff that are not politics, his fans do like it, but because yeah, I mean he has ranted about black people stuff like that, and his fans do react well to it. So, but I don't know, his other fans.
I wish him the very best. I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah.
See him go, because I was on his show a couple of times. I guess just to start at the end, and then we'll go do all the fun stuff later. Let's get some thumbnails too. The biggest thing I want you guys to know is that the Jews are not a monolith. And we've had this argument before.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, well, I feel like there's a kinship there. And there absolutely is not. My family is kind of Catholic, Irish, Scottish, and they fucking hate the English. And the fact that I was born in England was just it was like I was gay or retarded. They still love me, but there's this horrible thing that happened. And there's no reference. There's no well, if it came down to it, for example, when the Scots, when the English were playing soccer against Spain, if you're in Wales, all the Scots are cheering every time Spain gets a goal. The Welsh are kind of freaked out by that. They're sort of split on the English thing. But they want England to suffer. And that's how Orthodox and Hasidic and even secular Jewish conservatives feel about these ADL, SPLC Jews.
Right. Well, yeah, I talked about that on my show the other night. ADL just got kicked out of the FBI, and who was celebrating it was the ZOA. It was Mort Klein. It was Ben Shapiro.
I think with the ADL, I think it's mostly the Orthodox and Hasidics don't like them. And I think, as with the secular, I think it's more of the left-wing seculars probably don't like him. I'm talking about the Generation Z probably doesn't like them, because I know many left-wing people don't like ADL anymore because they're pro-Israel. You know what I'm talking about?
Let me just say one thing here, because his whole argument here is Jews are not a monolith. So why are you mad at them because they're not a monolith? It's okay, if they were a group of people, and you could say they're not a monolith, but maybe half of them want to drown me and half of them want to set me on fire. They're not a monolith, but I still would have a problem with that group. So I think he's right. They're not all wanting the same thing. But I think if you look at the two powerful interest groups within the Jewish community, the Jewish group would be the secular ones that are very left wing, that are wanting things like open borders or extreme social liberalism. And then you have the hardcore Zionist right wingers who, they believe what we do on some social issues, but at the end of the day, their loyalty is with Israel.
I mean,
their in-group. And so
ones
I would have a problem with both of those things. It's not a monolith, but I don't like either of those things, and they both need to be taken care of.
Right. I don't know. As the hardcore, are there any of them Orthodox really? Because I think Orthodox, especially in America, are basically very little. Are there really? I mean, the hardcore Zionists. Do they have a lot of them in America, or the hardcore Zionists are
Yeah, there's a ton of hardcore Zionists in America.
Are they
And there's
the
even ones that are
Orthodox ones?
secular and not super religious. And there's even, I mean, truthfully, there's a bunch of Christian Zionists, but
Right.
I think the most influential ones are Jews.
Yeah. I'm saying, are they are they the Orthodox Jews, or they're usually
I think
like?
there's a mixture. They're not all Orthodox. I mean, you have like Zionists that are like Bill Maher, or Zionists that are like what's that guy's name that I hate?
Mark
Sam
Levine?
Harris.
Oh yeah.
Mark Levin. Yeah, Mark Levin. I don't know. Is Mark Levin Orthodox?
No, he's not Orthodox. They're very just
Yeah. So
name a very few. I don't think they're into. They're so
now
into politics.
Shapiro is Orthodox.
Yeah, but
Ben Shapiro is Orthodox.
yeah. I'm saying even him, he's Orthodox, but he's kind of modern Orthodox. If that makes sense. But yeah, I mean the thing that does bother me a little bit is like many of them like to bring in the Talmud when talking about Jewish people, when talking about Jews in power. When many of them don't really. I mean, from unless you're like an Orthodox Jew, I think the Talmud is basically like is like an occultic thing. Basically, they don't even read it or
I think
that.
you're confusing the Talmud with the Kabbalah.
No. The Kabbalah is uh is what's it called, occultic for the Orthodox ones, but the I'm not sure about the modern ones. Do believe in the Talmud, like Ben Shapiro's
I don't
people
think
do.
the Talmud would be considered occultic by anyone. It's just
No,
really the
no, I
Jewish,
don't think.
like,
Well, to reform or the conservative to reform Jesus for sure, they really don't believe in it. They don't really. They really what's it called again? They don't really read it or anything like that. It's more like an Orthodox thing than anything.
I think in most cases it's not useful to like do a deep dive on the Talmud and say, oh, it's this obscure text. But I do think that, you know, over millennia, like this is part of the Jewish culture. Like it's kind of part of the zeitgeist. The teachings in that book permeate the culture and permeate like the early childhood education. Like it's just part of their culture. So I think it is somewhat useful to understand the overtures of it, but I don't think it's good to be autistic about it.
Right. I mean, well, it's a very complicated book. It's not really that simple to. The translations of it and stuff like that are very hard to understand. It's a very hard thing to read. I know that it's not like some simple thing you could just like read in 1 second. And like even the Bible, like you ever read the Bible, or
Yeah.
it's very that's hard to understand. That is, but it the Talmud I think is even more hard to understand as there's different views and opinions of it. Or I mean, you ever been deep? You ever learned deeply into the Talmud, or?
You know, I've done research where I've like read certain sections to get like a flavor of it. I definitely agree. Like it's a very legalistic book with lots of argumentation. So, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know
And
if
I've read,
I don't know if it directly says anything super anti-Gentile though. I mean, if we're comparing it to the Old Testament, I don't know if it's really. I think many of it is really exaggerated. I mean, maybe I being whatever here, but no,
I
because
do agree. No, I do agree that it's exaggerated because people are trying. I think the point is true that the Jews see themselves as separate, as a chosen people. They
right,
do think that they are worth their lives are worth more than
mhm,
non-Jews. They do believe that. Now, to make that point, people will exaggerate things in the Talmud to be like, "Oh yeah, they think Gentiles are like animals, like this or that," and
right,
I don't think it's on that level. But the underlying point of like, hey, they don't see us. They see
right,
us as separate from them, and they
right,
don't identify with us in that way. I think that's an important thing to teach people. But
mhm.
yes, it is exaggerated.
Well, I think it's important not to get too autistic. I don't think like most secular Jews believe that. I mean, at least from the ones I know. I think it's more of the like Orthodox ones. They're not really too the ones that believe that are not too involved in politics. I mean, I think it's like a. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like do any Christians believe that as well, or they're? I mean,
Well, maybe they believe that Christians are God's chosen people, but they also wouldn't say like anyone can become a Christian. But I
I
think
think anybody
with
could become a
Judaism, it's
Jew as
different
well.
because they believe that they are you know, descended from Abraham and were given this through like their family tree rather
Right,
than through a belief system.
right. Well, I mean, like no, I think isn't like you could be a person could become a Jew. Like anybody could become a Jew, really. No, or
I think they're not trying to make anyone let anyone become that. Like it
right,
happens sometimes, like through marriage or from some other
right.
circumstance, but they're certainly not seeking it out. And I don't think many Jews look at converts the same way.
Right. Well, yeah. So yeah, that's 1 second. Yeah. Do Muslims look at converts okay, or they're the same, or?
I think they're very like converting people is very important to Islam, and they do look at converts the same way.
I mean, like a Jewish convert, would they look at him in a good way? Like in the convert that's from Israel, like would
That's
they
a
look
good question, and maybe for them in particular there would be some difficulty, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
It was Joel Pollak at Breitbart, and you're right, they've all been anti-ADL ever since 2015, because that's when Jonathan Greenblatt took over, and he's a Democrat partisan. But I would say that what is the cause of the conflict? It is an internal battle. It's an intra-Jewish conflict. And what I mean by that is they're debating about ultimately what is best for the Jews. And left-wing Jews believe in liberal universalism, that that's the best for the Jews. And the Israeli right, the American right, and Jewry, they think that Israel needs to be as strong as possible and as identitarian as possible as the last refuge.
Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
Hello, I'm Gavin McInnes.
And together we're Compound Censored.
And we would like you to separately. You to subscribe. With this deal, I disagree. I think they want what's best for the West. And you know how many Jews hate Israel, right? Like even Hasids in Israel, the reason they refuse to join the IDF is because they don't support Israel. They say we're here too early. We're supposed to wait for Christ.
Right.
So within the Jew world, within the Jays, the animosity towards Israel is, I'm just pulling some math. I'm going to say 50%.
I don't think it's 50%.
If you include all the seculars, all the Hasids, you're going to get north of 40.
Inside Israel or globally?
Globally.
But I don't think that they hate Israel. I think that they hate the Likud party, the liberal ones. I think they hate Netanyahu. George Soros.
I want to separate that.
Which?
They hate the concept of Israel, even the ones that are there. Separately, Israelis are not a fan of Netanyahu at all.
Well, why do they keep electing him?
It's like Justin Trudeau. It's a parliamentary system, and once you get your foot in the door, you can sort of expand forever. Like Justin Trudeau did 3,000 terms.
But maybe they don't like him.
Yeah, I think the thing with Israel is like they have a horrible election system. They hate Netanyahu, but it's kind of like there's nobody better to like replace him, basically. You know what I mean, or no?
Sorry, man, I was stuck muted. Will you say that again?
No, I was saying like with the whole Netanyahu thing. I think most Israelis hate him, but they're just not a good replacement for him. Basically, they're like sort of stuck with him because
I don't even know if the Israelis hate him. I think they. I mean, he's definitely disliked for a lot of his corruption, but as far as policy-wise, I don't think the Israeli people really disagree with how the war has been handled. I think they wanted to get the hostages back sooner, and they're very supportive of this deal that Trump has put together. But I think they wanted to be very aggressive with Gaza. And overall, when you look at the issue polls in Israel, they stick together pretty well. One quick point here, though. If you look, he said he doesn't even know if it's 50% of Jews' support for Israel.
Yeah, that's complete garbage. Let me check on that. But yeah, that for sure more than 50 percentage.
Yeah.
Of Jews.
Yeah, 74% of American Jews are in favor of the U.S. providing military aid to Israel. So, like 3/4 of American Jews think we should give military aid.
Yeah, let me see percentage of. Let me just put this on. Let me go deep.
This one says
now, but they support everything he's doing. 70% approval for the war in Iran.
I didn't know this was going to get so heated so fast. I disagree again.
That's just the facts.
No, you say they support what he's doing. These Israelis that I know are furious about October 7th. They agree with you. I assume that you believe, as I do, that they let it go on too long.
Well, I think they just let it happen. Period.
Right. I don't know the percentage. Probably almost half of Israelis agree with that, and they're fucking mad because they were killed.
Right. Yeah.
They had to fight with their own guns, protecting their own homes.
Right.
Which they did a great job at, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good at that. They're all military service. But there was the leader of the opposition did an op-ed in the New York Times, Benny Gantz, in the Israeli government. And, France and the UK, they're all recognizing Palestine. And the leader of the opposition in the Knesset came out and said, if you think you're against Netanyahu by being against these policies, he said, you're wrong. He said, you're against all of us. He said, because everyone in the government and most of the people, we support what Netanyahu's doing. So in other words, he said, don't get it twisted. Don't think that you're just opposing him. He said, this is the bipartisan security consensus of Israel after October 7th, and that consensus is that it's unacceptable to have Hamas and Gaza in close proximity to Israel because of what is possible, what they demonstrated.
Okay, so when I think of Netanyahu, I think of a warmonger who wants to pick a fight with Egypt, who wants to pick a fight with Lebanon, who would love to provoke Iran to the point where China and Russia get involved, and we have a global World War III. Jews don't want that.
I don't think they want World War III, but I do think they want to destroy Iran. They want regime change in Iran.
I want regime change in Iran.
I don't.
You like these Muslims taking over ruling that country?
It's not that I like them, it's that they are necessary to check Israel.
I got to turn off this AC because it picks up on the mic.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
You don't, I don't think you hate Muslims enough. That's my problem with you. I hate Muslims. Hey.
No, not really. We love everybody, but no, they're really pissing me off though lately.
Who are they?
Yeah, like
Manchester?
I agree with him with the whole Muslim thing because people like to talk about Jews wanting to take over the world, but Muslims, like their whole religion is basically making a caliphate to take over the whole world. That's the do you know what I mean or no?
No, I totally agree with Gavin here. Like, of course, I mean, a regime change in Iran would be great if we didn't have to actively do it. Like, if I could snap my fingers and there would be a different regime, I think that would be an obvious good for the world.
I don't mean that. I mean, like, the gripers and many of the alt-rights, like, laxness to Islam, because like at least like even like the radical Jews, like an Orthodox Jew, something like that, they don't want to like take over the world. They're even against taking over, even having a Jewish government in Israel until their Messiah comes. Like Muslims, their whole thing is wanting to make a caliphate. That's like their whole goal, basically. Like right now, like ISIS, like
Yeah, I mean, they want to conquer you, but I do think that these Jewish interest groups want to use us. I don't think they want to conquer us in the same way the Muslims do.
right.
Now, it's
I
interesting
don't
though
think,
because
like, but Muslims, I don't think like those. Maybe not like those Muslims groups. Like they admit that they want to make those Dawas agree that they want to make they want to like what's it called again, make with massive immigration, make the UK into an Islamic state. Like they admit that they want to make like it.
yeah, for sure, and that's very bad.
Yeah, I mean, like if there would be like all of, I know this is a bad example. If there would be 50 million, okay, what's a good example? If there would be 10 million Jews shipped to America. I don't think they would want to make America into like a Jewish state. But if there's like 10 million per Muslims moving into America, they would want to make it into a Muslim state. That's all I'm saying. I mean, like you could.
No, no, but I'm saying that the 10 million Jews would want to turn us into a piggy bank to support the Jewish state. So it's like a different type of being conquered. Like we don't want to, we're not going to be conquered by Jews, but we would be conquered by, I mean, look, first of all, I'm very anti-Muslim. Like, and Gavin's correct here. And Europe faces a far bigger threat from Islam than America does. Because America, we just don't have Islamic countries that are near us geographically. We do have a problem of Israel controlling our government, but we don't really have a problem of Islam controlling our government or posing a threat to us right now.
Right. So if Israel wouldn't exist, would you have a problem with Jews or still because they?
I'm glad that Israel exists, and I just think that I don't want America to be the piggy bank or the enforcer for them.
Right, and that's because I'm sort of a little confused. Of, do you believe that atheist Jews also want to use the Gentiles as a way to also want to use them, or because that's the confusing part.
They have a different I guess, self-preservation mechanism where instead of like trying to beef up any kind of Jewish ethno-state, they just want to weaken any other ethnic majority group. So that's why they want to flood immigrants in and push this like pluralism, multicultural society, so that there's no like strong ethnic majority that would ever get mad at them or start to fight
I
back
don't really
against them.
think they know what they're doing, though. I don't think that's the case. I mean, like,
I don't think it's like a thing where they're like, hey, I'm going to wake up every day and pursue this, but they just kind of do it naturally. They see a lot of white people together, like pushing for a Republican Party or being anti-immigrant, and they don't like that. They just have in their hearts, they're just like, this is bad. We don't want this.
okay, so which would make more sense? Do you believe that it's not like it's sort of systemic? They don't actually know that they believe in it per se, but they kind of, it's like, I don't know, it's a bad, like people with systemic racism, people like say to them, are you retarded? How do you believe racism? Do you believe every white man is racist? They say no, but they believe systemically they have some perceived notions against black people. So do you think the same thing with kind of Jewish people as well? Because I don't, from all the Jewish people I know that are not religious, they didn't appear to me as people that see themselves that want to put the Gentiles down. If that makes sense.
No, it's not like they're thinking of it actively. Most of them. Now, some of them are, like the people that run the SPLC or the people that run the ADL, they are thinking, okay, we have to do something to weaken these guys so that we're stronger. We have to protect ourselves. They're actually thinking of the X's and O's behind it. But I think most of them, it's just kind of something that occurs naturally. I mean, you look at them, their attitudes are just very liberal. They're very in favor. Like if you just look at opinion polls among Jewish people in America, like they're very liberal on all issues. Social, they want more immigration. They support all these different groups.
Right. Well,
it's just a fact.
Well, this is the problem. My biggest problem I have with the whole is why do you think many Jews, like at least secular, of course, Orthodox Jews, do not marry out of their race, but many of the secular Jews, I think it's very high. They're like up to like maybe even 70% of them marry out of their race. Why do you think that is? Do you think of sort of?
I just don't think that I don't think that in their personal worldview, that's an important factor.
Well,
I just don't think they care about it. In the same way that, like, of course, like the ethnic nationalists in among Jews do care a lot, and they really care about it. And those are the same ones that are typically like very pro-Israel Zionists. So we're talking about just different groups within there.
I mean, do you agree that they have the right to care about that? Because if Jews did intermarry, they would not exist. So you think they have the right? Yeah,
absolutely.
So I mean, like, I think, like, if a person is like in distant right, you should understand. Now you could be annoyed that they don't see the same thing with give the same thing with white people, but there is totally a reason.
No, I totally get it. I want them to live and I want them to thrive, but I want them to be embarrassed when they're coming to the American government asking for a handout or demanding our support for everything they do. They should be embarrassed. They should have a second thought and think, man, should we do this? Do you think this is a good look for us?
Yeah, no,
they should really consider like how much people hate it when they do that, and they should think twice.
I totally agree. It's totally cringe whenever I see these like shaming Israel, America for not giving Israel money and stuff like that, or not. Yeah, it's very like, I think I like heard Nikki Haley say we should give Israel money but not tell them what to do, how to run how they do their wars. It's like, how does that work? We're giving them money. Should we have the exact right to tell them what to do? It's like, yeah.
And that's where I want to go. Like, I don't have a problem with Zionism if it wasn't, if there was no parasitism going on. But it's the fact that they're piggybacking off of us. They're siphoning our money away. They're siphoning our support. They're damaging our standing with the rest of the world. Like, they can go do their thing, and we can even be allies with them. But we can't be, we can't be the sugar daddy.
Of course, but I think the thing is people overhype, and I do agree that for sure Zionism has made the Muslims look downly on the Western world. But let's not this is the problem I have, is many people like assume that Muslims just don't hate Christians, but the Crusades happened before Zionism even existed. Like, I mean, I guess it existed, but they would still they still would want a caliphate against the Christians. It's not like, not saying that Zionism for sure doesn't help, but it's like they don't like Christians.
You're right. You're 100% right, and you will never hear me defend Muslims.
Right, exactly. But there are many, as I'm saying, there are many Groypers who, even if they don't defend Muslims, they still can't admit. Why can't both sides be bad? It could be that Hamas uses human shields, yet Israel's also overplaying their cards, being a little bit too reckless.
You're right.
It's like,
I mean, the Groypers are gay and cringe, and they don't know what they're talking about. So
no, but even most people on the computer, on the internet, they just have this view that they cannot criticize Islam or say anything because Hamas, I think it's proven a fact that they do use human shields, or they for sure are not trying hard enough to differentiate themselves like a normal army would do. By the way, do you mind if I show you a thing I found on ChatGPT quickly, if you don't mind me showing it to you? It's about
sure, man.
Jews. Yeah, I know this is 1 second. Yeah. 1 second. Okay, okay, here it is. Yeah. So here's what they say, take it for grain of salt, but so approve of military actions, 46, 48 disapprove, 59 say Israel is not doing enough to give aid into Gaza, 68 says Hamas, who's to blame? Okay, 68 say Hamas.
So this is on the Gaza war. I was thinking more of do they support Israel? And I found 80% say they support Israel.
Right. How many support? Well, duh. I mean, I don't think that's a really.
Yeah, I think, but that's what Gavin was saying. He was like, Jews are not a monolith. Less than, only 50% actually support Israel. And Nick was like, no, it's going to be more than that, and it is more than that.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay, 1 second. Let me go back to the video. Yeah. I really should stop pausing because it makes the video a lot longer, but
it's all good. I mean, do you ever go back and just edit them into video? You could just edit.
Yeah, no, I don't want. I don't mind editing. I just don't want to take your time. That's all.
Oh no, dude, I'm totally. I set aside time for this. Don't worry about me, man.
Sure, of course.
The stabbing. Not more like Hassan Piker and Zohran Mamdani.
These are your bedfellows. That's also on my notes.
I know. It's the third worldists. They've these fucking communists and Muslims. They're all anti-Israel.
And the Columbia students, encampment.
Yeah, UCLA,
those are your brothers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. it's unfortunate.
I mean, I have strange bedfellows too, I guess. But okay, we're all over the map here because we're biting off more than we can chew. But I don't think I just want you to be aware of how many Jews do not support Netanyahu's policies, and that includes Israel, that includes American Jews. My family's been terrorized by my neighbors who are disproportionately Jewish, but they're secular Jews. They're atheist Jews. They are Marxists. They're Bolsheviks. You know, I think one big difference between you and I is when you think of Holodomor, you think of Jews. When I think of Holodomor, I think of atheists. And once you're an atheist and a communist, you're not part of a religion.
Right.
I do agree with Gavin on this. To say is that, in a way, you could say it's a little unfair to blame because, like, if somebody is like and granted, I think Nick will respond because Jews do say if you have a Jewish ethnicity, you are Jewish, which is it's very complicated though because according to Orthodox Jews, because I studied this a lot, I study religions a lot on my free time, but I know Reform Jews, they don't accept them when praying with each other. They don't allow them to make food for them. They're considered Jews, but they're not considered like, I don't know how to explain it, like kosher Jews, if that makes sense. Do you get what I mean or no? Or
Yeah, I mean, I get it. They might not be like,
yeah, well, they can't like
ritually clean or with any of their, their religious practices, but they still see them as kin. They still see them as like part of their group.
Right. I mean, I don't know if that's what I'm saying. I guess they kind of do, but kind of don't because. So Jews like have to have like 10 people pray, right? You ever heard of that whole thing or?
No.
So they have a thing. They hold that only a Jew could slaughter their meat for them. You ever heard of that thing? Or so
Yeah, that I understand.
Yeah, so they hold that a Reformed Jew cannot do it. It has to be a religious Jew. So and they also hold that those people don't go to heaven because I know they have a strict thing for heaven according to the Talmud. You have to believe in the afterlife, which many reformers don't believe in the afterlife. So but back to the thing is I do agree with Gavin to a certain extent is that it's like we don't judge people who got baptized as like a Catholic if they're part of the ACLU. We won't consider somebody that's just baptized Catholic as a Catholic. If he's atheist, we'll say he's atheist, and we don't care what his religious background was. But if Jews is different.
But it's different though. I mean, it is different because there is an ethnicity going on here, and they do see it that way. Like it's not the same as that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Anything wrong with humanity. And that's who I want to focus the beef on. Because all these great Jews get caught up in the anti-Semitism.
Like who?
Ezra Levant, Ron Coleman, John Gross, Stephen Miller. Wait, why'd you go like that for Ezra?
Well, he has me blocked on Twitter. That's first. So I don't like that. And well, here's the thing. To me, I just feel like the people you're talking about, fundamentally, they care more about Jews than they care about America.
I passionately disagree with that.
I think that they're like nut jobs about anti-Semitism, spurting out about Jew haters, anti-Semitism.
No, they hate the ADL. You know how much Rebel has done for Christians in Iraq? Way more than you and I.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
he was there in northern Iraq. He was there raising money for them to get refuge.
I just question what's really the end game there because I think that when you look at someone like Ezra Levant, he doesn't strike me as like a Canadian patriot. He strikes me as someone that cares deeply about Jews. And
no, you need to hang out with more Jays, dude. He's obsessed with the attack on these Christian churches all over Canada. Yeah. Look what he did for Tommy Robinson.
Well, and Tommy Robinson's the closest ally. He's an eternal defender of Israel.
Yeah, but that's not his priority. That's just the thing. It's sort of like me. I kind of resent having to defend the Jews and talk about Israel because it's like I did this sit down right here with Jake Shields, and it was just this. What about Islam? Like, did you know the first terror attack was a Jew? It's sort of like flat earthers.
Yeah.
Like you have to know the thing they're saying to be able to refute it. And I'm not an expert on the history of Jews in Israel, but I just see what happens to my friends on the right, and they get caught in this. It's like a black thing where I can't be a lawyer because the whites have systemic racism.
Right.
It becomes a crutch, and even the synagogue attack, they're blaming on the Jews. Even Charlie Kirk, that was a lavalier that blew up. Where do you stand on Charlie Kirk?
I thought that's ridiculous. I think it was a left-wing nut job that killed him.
I mean, it's Occam's razor with that until I get more information.
Exactly, right.
Where do you stand? I feel like you've sort of switched recently on the Jays a little bit.
Yeah, people have been saying that, but that's only because I said that Israel didn't kill Charlie Kirk. But I only believe that because I think that Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel.
So that's you loving Jews in this day and age?
Yeah, literally, yeah. That's
really? That's all it's based on?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's crazy because just sort of feeling like we all have our own personal AIs, and just sort of feeling the chatter. I was like, oh, Nick's coming around. He's kind of supporting Israel now.
No, I just said that they didn't kill him, which is insane.
I saw you talking recently about how if Israel had its way, it would just take over Lebanon and Egypt and Jordan. And I'm like, good.
Why is that good?
I see Israel as Doge, and I see Islam as corruption and wasting money, and I want to get in there and clean it up.
My problem with Israel doing these things, what they're really aiming for is hegemony in the region. They want to be the great power in the Middle East. They want to have hegemony over that entire region. And that's a very critical region because as India and China rise, they're going to be doing all this trade with Europe, and all that trade is going to go right through the Middle East, the naval land routes. And
I mean, to be fair, like, is there any difference if the Muslims or Jews run it? Like, that's what he's worried about the Jews doing is what the Muslims are doing right now. So, I mean, there really wouldn't be any difference if the Jews or Muslims would run it. You get what I mean or no?
I think he's just saying it would be united under the Israeli banner, which he's worried about that as like a counterbalance to our power. But I actually agree with Gavin here. Like, I do think things would be safer and run better and more just prosperous if Israel was in charge there. But my biggest problem again is their infiltration of our government.
Yeah, that's that's my problem with these people like that are pro like that's the thing that gets me most annoyed of people that criticize like they would show a video of Jews spitting on Christians in Jerusalem stuff like that, and I get where they're coming from. I mean, Christians do support Israel a lot, and Israel should have some greater respect for that thing. But it's like you can't really criticize Jews for how they treat missionaries when in like Egypt or Lebanon, all those countries, they don't allow. Like I remember Gavin interviewing like some nun, and she admitted that in Gaza you can't like missionarize people. So I kind of find it like stupid, if that makes sense.
I think that's true, but the thing is, though, the Christians aren't tripping over themselves to support the people in Egypt or in Gaza. Like Christians think that Jews are like little superheroes, like the ones in the Bible Belt. They think the Jews are the greatest, and they assume that the feeling is mutual, and they don't know that Jews actually generally hate evangelical Christians. Like they've done opinion polls in America. They really dislike them, and they just wouldn't know that if they went to Israel they would get spit on. They would assume it if they went to a Muslim country. They would assume they would get attacked, but the knowledge that they would do it in Israel is jarring.
Well, I mean, I've been to Israel and they didn't really treat me too badly. I mean, like they have crosses and stuff like that. I mean, like I get what you're saying. But I don't think it's not like people claim on the internet. Would you agree with me or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going there and they're just like attacking you on the street, but I don't think that the religious Jews in Israel look very fondly on Christians or Jesus Christ, and I think that a lot of Christians need to wake up to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they think that Israel is like the greatest thing on earth, and they want to support them to the end, and they need to just wake up to the fact that these people don't feel the same way about it.
So, by the way, I got some polling from ChatGPT. So, 58% said they feel somewhat emotionally attached to Israel, and another one said around 69%. So, yeah. How much do you think Catholics and Vatican how much do you think they have love for the Vatican? How much would you think this would compare with like the Catholics, in your opinion?
I think that the percentage of Catholics that support the Vatican would be higher than the percentage of Jews that support Israel, because the Jews doesn't just include the religious Jews; it includes all the ethnic Jews in the country. There's no such thing as an ethnic Catholic. There's only Catholics that they actually.
They have liberal Catholics, though. They have in those like abortion polls. Many reasons why Catholics usually support abortion is because they have Catholics that just don't go to church. There's many liberal Catholics that just don't go to church. It's not like, there are Catholics that are what's it called again? Like a Catholic that doesn't go to church could still consider himself Catholic if he goes like once a year or something like that. Do you get what I mean? Or
yeah, I get what you're saying, but I still think I bet the liberal Catholics like the Vatican more than the conservative ones do.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, do you have fear in that sense? Because I know it used to be somewhat of fear that many Catholics would put the Vatican over America. That used to be a fear, by the way, among early.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very anti-Catholic. I think that the Catholics are wayward. Now, I'm also anti many of the Protestant groups in the country. I think a lot of them are wacky out of their minds too. Right. But no, I don't think. I think Catholicism is not American.
You're more of a Steven Anderson, Joel. What's that guy's name?
Joel Webb, and I think they're both. I mean, they've had their issues as well, but I would say I'm closer to them. I think theologically, I'm much closer to them than the Catholic Church.
No, I think Steven Anderson might be a little bit. There's some stuff I heard about him, like you heard that he's abused his kids, something like that. Is that true?
There's a whole. I mean, I don't want to get into the drama. I mean, he definitely does like. He like spanks his kids, but I think there's. Okay, I think that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean that's for sure. There's a difference between spanking and
Israel's collecting a toll on all that, like with IMEC, which is the India Middle East corridor, Belt and Road. They're going to become very rich, and I think that Israel we have to consider is sort of like a rival great power because they do whatever they want. They don't answer to us. They infiltrate our system. Like our American billionaires, our American congressmen seem to answer to Israel, and it terrifies me that they'll have so much power by themselves and then have so much power over us. Right now they're pretty weak because they have to deal with Iran, they have to deal with Turkey, they have to deal with maybe all the Arabs teaming up against them. But if Iran's out of the picture, then they dominate the whole region there.
And then what do they do with this power? They attack America and take over America?
Not that they attack us or take over, but I think that then we're in the competition with them. And then it's a question of do we really have sovereignty? I think that we're in a position now where we could still, for example, kick all the dual citizens out, register the Israel lobby, this sort of thing. I think that once Israel has all this power, is there going to be a pager attack in America? Is there going to be an intel operation here?
There's Muslim attacks in America. There's the West Side Highway. There's 9/11. There's Fort Worth. There is I mean, you look at all the top mass killings in America, and it's black, it's mentally ill at the top. But third is Islam. So we're already being we're already being systematically attacked by
In London,
Muslims.
is
But we have freedom to act against Muslims. When Muslims
basically.
bomb us, we bomb them right back. We bomb Somalia 80 times this year. We bomb Yemen more times in a month than Biden did in a year. We bomb Pakistan. We bomb Iraq. We bomb Syria. But Israel, they blow up our ship, and we don't do anything.
The USS Liberty?
That's just one example.
I think that was a friendly fire.
By the way, do you believe that USS Liberty? What's your opinion on it? Just before
I
we
don't
go.
care about it, man. All of this like cherry picking of stuff from 80, like yeah, I mean,
I used to
I don't
think that.
know.
I used to think there was a point to it, but then after thinking about it, same thing with dancing Israelis. Like, I know if you hate Israel, you might point to it, but it doesn't really make sense in the whole thick of things. Is why would, well, like according to the whole thing, was Israel? Did they disguise themselves, or does anybody even know? Or
What are you asking about? Are you asking about the Liberty or the dancing Israelis?
no, the USS Liberty. Why would Israel not
Yeah.
disguise themselves when they bombed? That's also a thing. Also, the whole.
I believe that Gavin is closer to the truth here. I think it was probably.
No,
friendly fire.
also the dancing Israeli things. It's really. I used to think it was true as well, but also like it just doesn't make sense why intelligence agents you would just blow their cover up like that. I mean, like Mossad is not like some. It's not like the Mexican intelligence. It's actually a good intelligence. I don't think they would just.
Yeah, I just don't think they were. I don't think they knew they were being watched. I mean, they were there as a fake cleaning company.
I think only like one of them was known had some connection to Mossad, but I'm not sure if he was even what's it called again? I think like anybody that's in Israel is part of the army, so I don't know if it was actually. I mean, do you believe in the controlled demolition theory of 9/11 or no?
No, I don't believe in any of that. I think planes flew into buildings. I don't think that Israel did it. I just think that they were probably there. They might have had some inkling of it happening and were there filming it, and then they weren't upset about it. They were kind of like, "Oh, this is good because now they're going to probably come fight these guys and help us out."
Why would they film it in public though? Filmed in public, I think that would.
Well, it wasn't really in public. They were in a parking garage, and they just happened to have someone that was looking at them.
Was it a parking garage? I thought it was in like a apartment building or something like that. So.
Yeah, it was like the parking structure of an apartment building.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't they do this in like in their own homes? Why would they do it anywhere in public though? That's the. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe they didn't have a vantage point from any. I mean, it was still a pretty private place, and they. I don't know where they lived. They might not have had a vantage point from where they lived, and that was probably just the most private place they could find that had a good vantage.
The thing is that when the lady called the police, she thought they were like Muslims. She didn't even know that there were Israelis. That's the funny part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, she just saw some people acting strange. I mean, they probably also didn't imagine that people would film, but wouldn't even notice anything was weird about it. Like they were just sitting there filming it, and maybe they weren't acting shocked enough, or they weren't acting upset enough, and
I mean, they weren't
lady think something was weird.
So I did some like grog. I think they were just like maybe high five. I don't think they were actually dancing. Like I think it is.
No, if they, I think they were just probably not. They were just acting strange.
Yeah.
Like not like you would act if you were seeing this and not expecting it, and an American person seeing this and being really sad.
Right. Yeah.
my white brother.
I mean, what makes you think it wasn't?
Because they were flying a giant American flag. They
It's not giant when you're in a fighter jet going.
All the people on the boat said it was unmistakable. They knew what they were doing. They came in and shot the
The people on the boat are mad because all their friends died.
got shot.
We're not allowed to use the people on the boat.
Yeah.
That's like when people go, "What if your daughter was raped?" And you're like, "Well, I wouldn't be rational at that point." But it looked like an Egyptian boat. I don't understand why you want to provoke an attack when you're in a 6-day war with all these other countries. Why you want to get America against you too? They approached the USS Liberty first and got shot at, so they couldn't verify. So the only really proof we have is the little flag, which from a fighter jet is not easily identified.
We also have the eyewitness testimony, which I agree maybe there's a bias, but they do all claim to this day that it was a deliberate attack. They said that they radioed in, they waved the flag, and the purpose, why would they do it? Was to conceal their troop movements, because when they were doing the 6-day war, they didn't want their operations to be foiled.
What was America doing there? They said they weren't going to be there. They denied their existence there.
We were spying on them.
Okay, so we have no evidence. I'm saying we. They have no evidence that the.
I mean, like, to be fair, I don't want to be like too whatever, sound like whatever, but I mean, like, if we're spying on them or weren't even supposed to be there, I mean, like, it's not like America was in the right as well. I'm pro America here, but you get what I mean or no? Or
Even if we were there, we shouldn't have had our ship blown up.
right, for sure. I mean, but didn't they shoot? Did America shoot first, or?
No, that was Egypt. Egypt was there shooting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would have been. The whole plan seems a little bit fuzzy to me because, like, wouldn't other people also see America? Even if Israel was planning on like destroying the ship, when Egypt and other countries see it, when it's like, I don't know,
Careful.
We have no evidence that the vote was even going to be there. What are you doing? So we're not going to be there. A boat approaches. They get attacked. They fly over. It looks exactly like an Egyptian boat. And yeah, friendly fire kills 30 people. They killed 12 Israeli soldiers in that war by accident. They're regularly killing their own hostages.
Well, that's the doctrine. That's their military doctrine, is to kill their own hostages.
Right, but they're killing their own people, killing people that they weren't killing the hostages when they weren't prepared to kill the hostages. Too early, I guess, is what I'm saying. But friendly fire is part of war. Vietnam, we lost tens of thousands of troops, and it was very unfortunate. I don't think it's a good example of Israel attacking us. I think there's
Alex
more.
Jones, you heard Alex Jones' theory on the whole USS Liberty?
No, I haven't heard it.
So FDR contacted, it was planned. Not FDR, Lyndon B. Johnson and Israel planned the whole thing together, basically, to bomb a U.S. ship. It was planned by both parties, basically, without the people.
I don't believe that either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like the whole thing, it seems like I know it might seem at first plausible, but it really doesn't seem like much a smart plan. It's too risky of a plan. Like if I'm a military person, I don't know if I would risk such a thing. Many things could go wrong in that case, but
Evidence that it was
I
friendly
think
fire.
it doesn't matter. It's so long
we can say
ago.
for the sake of this
and I
argument,
think
you say
Gavin's
friendly fire
theory-
is not the brother. But here's the point: it's about what they're capable of. It's this idea that if they carried out like they did in Hezbollah in Lebanon, a decapitation strike on Hezbollah, if they did something like that in America, if they have regional hegemony in the Middle East, if they have all this influence in America, could they get away with something like that? That's what I'm worried about, because they do have an interest in our defense technology and our supply chains. You got to wonder.
I don't think we have to and I know you might disagree a little bit on this with me, but I don't think we have to worry about Israel trying to take over the U.S. It's like people that are worried about Russia taking over the U.S. Like that's never gonna happen. Like,
Israel already did.
Right. I mean, literally invading the U.S. Like, Israel is not. I don't think it has the capabilities of. I mean,
Yeah, of course they're not going to literally do it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like people that say Russia's gonna take over the U.S. Like, there are people that literally say that. After done with Ukraine, they're gonna go to Poland, and then eventually they're gonna take a bunch of countries and then eventually take over the U.S. I don't think
How did the bombs end up in the pagers? It's shell corporations, it's supply chains, that's the sort of thing. And you look at these tech companies like Palantir. Palantir's run by Alex Karp. He's the CEO, and this is the company that's getting all the data, putting it together. You don't think they're putting a backdoor in there for Israel? And that's just like one example. But they got a lot of companies where, 15 years ago, Netanyahu sent Unit 8200, which is their intelligence guys, to Silicon Valley to get involved in these businesses for that purpose. And so that in this world of spying, espionage, intelligence, and especially autonomous systems and drones, you wondered we get to a point where Israel flips a switch and the iPhones explode, and that's like the cartoon.
Can't we focus on what if Saudi Arabia gets money? What if Iran gets power? Like, we're already there with Muslims. And look at what these fucking sheiks do when they get their billions. They drive cars on two wheels. They face fuck our women. They're barber pirates all over again. They just bring them over with money, and they steal our comedians.
yeah, you see that?
Stupid festivals. Like this fear of what if Israel gets so much power. Islam's got it. Islam's in our government right now. Ilhan Omar.
But she's a congresswoman. I mean, that's not the same thing. Mike Waltz was a national security advisor. He's working for Netanyahu. That's way worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Rubio getting money from Larry Ellison, Secretary of State.
I'd like to see a study on who has more power in America, the Muslim Brotherhood or Israel.
Come on, that's Jewish propaganda. The Muslim Brotherhood. You sound like Laura Loomer. Okay? The Muslim Brotherhood's running everything?
Yeah. No, not running everything, but a major threat.
Not more than that. The Jews run Hollywood, finance, media, government. But what do Muslims run?
Ops against us.
Yeah, I mean,
propaganda. Look at what has happened. Like, anti-Semitism in the past year, 6 months, doesn't feel organic to me. It feels funded by Muslim Brotherhood. It's like, you've always been pretty consistent. Jake Shields, whom I adore, it doesn't feel organic with him. He recites all these details like someone is getting in there. And I can name other people where they're getting funding.
I mean, no, Jake Shields is not a plant. He's just a retard. I don't think he's.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I don't think he's on the Muslim. I don't think he's on the Muslim Brotherhood payroll.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do agree.
I mean, to me, this is where Gavin loses me. Like, it's obvious it's obviously the case that
he's
the
retarded.
Jewish interest groups have more power in America than the Muslim Brotherhood.
I mean, there are gaining, like Qatar does have, has some power and stuff like that. And I think they're worse than Israel because at least Israel doesn't promote like liberalism. It's more of the Jews that do it, if that makes sense. Qatar actually promotes liberalism, while their country is basically like conservative. Like, it's basically like what's it called again? Like a Christian nationalist, a Islamic version of a Christian nationalist country. So so they even annoy me more than Israel because
To go against Israel, to go against the Jews. And I would say it's pretty mainstream right now to be anti-Semitic. It's like Free Palestine. You can wave that flag. Like in Britain, Britain's a weird example because they've already taken over that country. But there's a Muslim demonstration. You walk by with a yarmulke or a dog, and you're told you're disrupting it, you're disturbing the peace, even though you're on your way home.
But what did they do in response here? In America, you have Trump seizing the endowments or the loans and grants for Harvard, Brown, UPenn. They're forcing it to dozen schools in Northwestern, in Illinois, and Evanston. You have to take like a re-education course on Israel just to get into school.
Great point. But I was talking to Toby Young, Lord Young in Britain there. He wrote How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. Great guy. He runs this thing called the Free Speech Union that protects you if you show up in Britain and you get stopped at the border for a tweet, whatever. And he was, oh, my mind just blanked. What were we talking about?
The
this
Israel to get into Colombia.
Oh, yeah. And he was like, sometimes institutions get to this point where you have to go against your libertarian values and go, I can't believe I'm doing this. But the government has to fix this problem because there's no way these institutions will fix themselves. And I feel that way.
Just being honest with you, I really don't care about the whole Ivy League thing. I know some people care. I just like, I don't care if they just like literally explode. I mean, don't want them to, but you get what I mean. It's like, I get annoyed people hinging their like, pity on those universities. In my opinion, it's just funny, like seeing like how these people that are funding it are now finding the like how sort of like it's a whole like Frankenstein monster type thing was happening. I don't really care so much about it, if that makes sense. Or
yeah, I guess I don't care. I mean, I hate that they're filled with retarded leftists from third world cultures that are screwing the place up. Like our Ivy League institutions should have a lot of clout and a lot of respect from their excellence, and they've damaged their reputations with this crap. Yeah. So I do want our elite universities to remain elite and to keep that status, and so I don't like it.
So, but I don't guess, what did the Jewish donors did they not see this coming? Like, how didn't they see this coming? Like, that's the thing I'm wondering. How are they surprised at what happened? Like, you don't know the Muslims or like far leftists don't like Israel. How are they surprised of all this happening? Like,
I think they just saw right-wing white people as their biggest threat, and they didn't think about the other side being a threat to them as well.
It's like there's like it's like kind of like it's funny like they should expect. It's like funny how they're surprised by this. It's like, have you never like you really think these people are going to care about white people who they see as colonials being slaughtered? I mean, like in America, if a bunch of Indians slaughtered a whole bunch of Americans, these type of people won't care because that's how they are. I mean, like, I'm surprised.
Yes.
Yeah, it's surprised. Yeah, like yeah.
But Harvard and Columbia,
totally right.
I never want the government involved in schools. But these fucking schools, like, it wasn't. People were not in trouble for saying from the river to the sea. They were fucking terrorizing Jewish students. They had to lock themselves in rooms. They were banging on doors. So I think the government has gone into these Ivy League schools and said, this looks real bad on paper, but you guys are so far fucking gone. There's a new professor at Harvard called, like, you can look this up, Sean, called, like, vagina de penis.
Oh, I saw that, the drag queen.
Yeah. So that's how far gone they are. I mean, this is almost like calling in the National Guard.
But look at what they did at Harvard. They kicked out Claudine Gay, and that was after Bill Ackman intervened, because Bill Ackman's an alumnus of Harvard, and he leveraged the alumni network to withhold donations until it strangled the board.
Yeah, I think Claudia Gay, she really didn't get too much. I heard, did you see Larry Elder's interview with Jesse Lee Peterson?
No, I don't. I can't watch any Jesse Lee Peterson. Oh, Jesse Lee Peterson. I was hearing Jordan Peterson for some reason when you said that. I think I did, but it's been a while.
No, basically Claudia Gay, she didn't actually lose anything. She just lost the title. She's still getting paid. She still has all the power. It was just she just lost the title role. She didn't really lose anything, basically. That's what Larry Elder said to Jesse Lee Peterson, but
this brought out. Then they brought in a Jewish doctor to be the new president of Harvard. And what the Trump administration is imposing on Harvard, it's not just anti-protest, anti-Palestinian. What they're also doing is changing the Middle East studies curriculum. So it's pro-Israel in their school of foreign policy or political science. So it's like, and by the way, that's 5 out of 8 Ivy League schools now have Jewish presidents.
Yes, but they're correcting this crazy current that's been going on for decades.
But 5 out of 8, Jews are 2% of the population. What is that?
Yeah, but these schools are anti-Jewish schools, and that's where
25% of Columbia is Jewish. Like
these Jews. I can tell you, I got friends going to St. Andrews in Scotland, which is basically Harvard. It's Ivy League Europe, and he goes in there as a Jew. He comes out there as a pro-Palestine, river to the sea guy. Like the Jew, there was tons of Jews in those encampments in Columbia. They go to school to learn to hate, and this is what I want to get you to.
If these Jewish people are very smart, these Jewish donors, if they really want to be, they should get like a white Protestant Christian president. That if they want to show that they that would I think that would be a better PR move for them.
Yeah, but they just hate white people and they hate Christian Protestants too much. Yeah. So they'd rather just have a Jewish person. Or before, what they thought was like their little puppet black woman who didn't play ball.
No, I mean, no, I'm just thinking about that would be very funny if they just replaced these what's it called again? These people with like these Baptist, Southern Baptist. I'm talking about like a very big like Bible thumpers for a president.
Yes, it would be funny and it would be awesome, but they would never do it because they hate those people the most.
I mean, they don't Zion like they wouldn't. Aren't those people usually the Southern Baptists? Aren't they Zionists usually, or?
Yeah, but the Jews hate them anyway, as you see. I mean, you can see this from all the opinion. They just did an opinion poll, crosstab of like all religions and their opinions of each other, and the Jews absolutely hated the evangelicals. And it was funny because the evangelicals rated the Jews, I think, the highest.
Yeah.
Jews are exceptional whites. When they do bad, they do exceptional bad. When they do good, they do exceptional good. When they do good, my daughter was born at Beth Israel. You know, Israel invents a pill that you swallow, and it gives you like a reverse colonoscopy, and you film everything going down. They're overrepresented in the Fields medals. They're overrepresented in Nobel Peace Prizes. Yes, they're overrepresented in media and banking, as are the Irish, by the way. You've seen those memes.
Yeah,
of the Irish.
yeah.
So when I see these, I think Jews are really just whites who don't drink. If I didn't drink, I'd be president of the United States right now.
I agree. Yeah.
They're
Well,
like,
you're Canadians.
I would change that law. I'd be that
Yeah.
powerful, like Bloomberg giving himself an extra term.
Yeah.
They're like the Amish. Like they're just us at our purest in many ways.
I don't disagree. They are gifted, and I agree with you that a lot of anti-Semites are reluctant to even give them their due because they are brilliant, and that is part of why they're so powerful. Because when you look at, for example, the quotas against Jews in the universities in the first half of the 20th century, they were breaking through that stuff just because they were remarkable. But
I mean, that's true. Like, again, annoyed by people that just don't, like, if Jews are dumb, like, how are they, like, 0.2% of the population, like, basically, like run half the things, or according to some, run, like, 90% of the things? They're obviously smart. You could believe somebody's smart and still believe that they're not not like the group. Do you get what I mean, or no? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think anyone that would claim they're not very intelligent, they're either being dishonest, or they're just really stupid.
I mean, that's why I really don't like, what's it called again? Like, I sort of lost some respect for these white, like, nationalists, because they, like, with the whole bell curve, which is basically like their, biggest thing, just openly denied it. In the way they deny Jews are smart, and they deny the bell curve that shows Jews are the highest. Just seems to me like how, like, the blacks deny, like, the bell curve with whites being smarter than them. That's the vibes I get. But
Well,
here's my issue with them.
There's two things going on there. Like,
Bishop
one,
Williamson said the same thing. He's that, like,
you could say, hold on, give me 1 second. You could say that they're smarter, but you might still think that the level of success that they've gotten is still more than they would get naturally from how much smarter they are.
right.
And I
Well,
think there's a lot of
that's-
people that say that, but yeah.
But more like, that's the thing that, again, like what two things could be true at the same time. Like with black people, like I like how people like say it's either that they're discriminated, it's either because of systemic racism, or because they have a low IQ. Why can't it could it could be both. It's like that's the thing that's sort of like, I like Jared Taylor, but that's the thing I kind of like don't understand what he means by it. He says they have a low IQ that sells that there's no that this discrimination has nothing to do with it. Why can't it be both? Do you get what I mean? Or there could be more than one reason for something.
I think it could, theoretically could be both, but then you would have to come up with some kind of evidence of systemic racism, because there's tons of evidence on the other side.
No, I don't believe in systemic racism, but I'm just saying it could be like multiple things. It doesn't, necessarily like it could be.
Yeah, it
like,
almost always.
Yeah, it could be like family dynamics. It could be because of like maybe people don't really want to hire them, or have a stereotypical view of them. It's like it doesn't. There could be more than one thing. I don't believe that. I believe systemic racism is retarded, but yeah, I just don't.
Stole that from him.
Yeah, I recognize that. I do. I was like,
Well, he was quoting a video of me.
yeah, there you go.
So I didn't really steal it.
Yeah. But he said that, and I agree with that. But my problem is not that you got bad apples, because every group has bad apples. My problem is that systematically their identity, which is racial and ethnic, is based on this fear of persecution. They're 2,000 years in a diaspora, no home to call their own. They're segregated. They're persecuted. We can debate about why that is, whether it's justified or not. Some people say, well, they're foreign, they're alien, they have whatever. But that is their experience, and I think they have this reflexive paranoia. They're afraid of outsiders. They're distrusting of outsiders. They're insular. They're tribalistic. And I think they justify that on the basis that if we don't act this way, everyone's going to rise up and kill us. Another Hitler will rise up. Another Philip II. Another Nicholas II. Someone's going to rise up and take us out. So that's why they have this group mentality. It's like a fortress. It's like a siege mentality. And I think that that's not a bad instinct, but it's bad when they have power over America.
Well, I would argue that I can't deny that. And when I went on my, as you called it, my all expenses paid trip to Israel,
Yes.
I kept screaming that even that, like, part of why they hate Trump is his blonde hair.
Yeah.
They have this trouble with the Aryan, and I think it's PTSD from their grandparents talking about the Holocaust. So like anytime a white, whether it's you or me, they don't care that I'm on their side, by the way. Anytime there's a white who is charming and has everyone's ear, we have to denigrate him because he's going to get us.
Right.
And that is something that both sides, both Orthodox Republican Jews and secular even atheist Jews, you're right, they all have that characteristic. But that doesn't negate the Civil War.
Right.
Because the Orthodox Jews are saying to the secular Jews, what the fuck are you doing? Like you're
But one thing where did people get the idea that Jews don't have blonde hair? Like, I know many Jews that have blonde hair. Where did people get where did people get that stupid thing that Jews don't have blonde hair?
I think it's just less common. They don't have blonde hair and blue eyes generally.
Right.
Like
No,
there
I
might be
mean,
a couple.
Family that all their kids have they have 4 kids, and all their kids have blonde hair. So that's why but yeah,
It's
maybe
just rare,
less.
more rare.
Let me check actually. Blonde hair rates, Jews versus Yeah, but for sure not. If somebody has blonde hair, it's not. A person could still have blonde hair and be Jewish. Having blonde hair doesn't make you not Jewish. That's
ruining everything, and you're going to get us killed, and they are getting them killed.
Yep.
As I keep saying, wear a yarmulke in northern Paris right now. Like all the Jews that live in northern Europe are getting terrorized on a daily basis. That's the first people. Manchester, they're attacking. So I think that Orthodox Jews are saying to secular Jews, "You're my worst enemy." Like with friends like you, who needs enemies? They could have the same motives, but the secular atheist Jews are retarded, and more proof that they're white, they self-sabotage. I think they're aware they're ruining everything, and they're ethno-masochists. Like all this porn shit, and you don't need to get married, and the world's overpopulated. The secular Jews are suffering from that. They're not having kids. Orthodox Jews' birth rate is great. So my sort of thing with race, my goal with my job and everything is, first of all, to make more American families of any race, but and fathers to say they're more Westerners, but also to kill this ethno-masochism. And I think one of the reasons that secular Jews, I don't know, are so wanton with their destruction is they have that white thing, which is self-destruction. And I think it's also a real reason for this anti-Semitism, because it's a fun target. Like, if my kids fart on my wife, they're in big trouble. If they fart on me, it's funny. I'll be like, oh shit, that reeked, because I'm the top, you know? And it seems that way with criticizing whites, like you can fart on them. And that is why these college students, they don't give a fuck about the Christians in the Congo. They don't give a fuck about brown on brown violence, but they see a white person, an Israeli, and a brown person, a Palestinian, even though these Palestinians would happily kill him, right? And have done, like that Italian guy who went there with the fucking Arabic writing on his bicep and they couldn't wait to kill him. Queers for Palestine. They just choose the brown side because of ethno-masochism. And I've heard people blame the Jews on that, but it goes way before World War II. This, I fucked up, I'm sorry shit. It's genetic.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of truth to that because, you know, these Jews, what they've effectively embraced is liberal universalism, which is this colorblind, we're all going to be communists, we're all individuals, whatever. And I think you're right that I'm right wing. And the right wing Jews believe that the solution to the Jewish problem, because the Jewish problem is these people are persecuted, they're unassimilable, they won't integrate. The right wing Jews, the Zionists, believe the solution is we need our own country. We need our own territory with a military. It's got to have a Jewish identity.
okay. Fine. So I did some searching on ChatGPT. I think so. They did one survey which said school children in Central Europe in the early 19,000s, 11% were blonde. So yeah. So that's what the study said. I don't know how.
Because as long as we don't have a home, we'll be at the mercy of everyone else. The left-wing Jews say that's why we need to make the world universalist, because if the world is tolerant and multicultural, then we'll be tolerated everywhere.
But you're describing the liberal globalist ethos, of which billions of whites have signed up for, and pre-Jews signed up for.
Yeah.
Like I always bring up slavery. We were, way before the Jews took over the media, we were going to Northern Africa and saying to the Berber pirates, stop doing this. We were going to Africa. We abolished slavery. We went to Africa. We said, stop doing this. We said to the homies, literally the homies, stop doing this. I think Britain paid off its debt ending slavery like 7 years ago. That wasn't the Jews. That was this like, oh, woe is me. I have to, this altruism. That is a good thing in a Siberian winter in Norway in like 2000 BC. But now it's used against us and it becomes lemmings going over the cliff. And that's what I want to prevent. And I think the anti-Semitism Israeli thing, it becomes a scapegoat, it becomes a crutch, and we don't identify our problem, which is we are okay with our own destruction.
Well, here's my point: is I'm saying that debate runs through the Jewish community too. Is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm screaming.
Yeah, and I
steal my shit.
But here's the thing: I'm not stealing it totally. The right wing Jews, it's particularism. The right wing Jews, they're not in favor of nationalism for all nations. You do your thing, we'll do our thing. By its very nature, if you're a nationalist, it's exclusionary. We want our nation to be strong. We want our people to be strong. So you sort of have this idea that like, well, we're all for the West, we're all for nationalism, we're all for these things, but they want these things for themselves.
Who's they? Every Jew I talk to, because I talk to a lot of Jews about this debate, and they're like, ask him what a Jew is. Who's they?
It's matrilineal by Jewish descent from their mother. Not
We're
necessarily.
both agreeing that the Orthodox and the Republicans hate the seculars.
But
and
why
the
do
seculars, they see the Orthodox and the Hasidics as a cult. And they go, you're bad for our name. You're fucking weird with your payas and your stupid hat.
But they hate.
And they married a black chick.
Yeah. Well, they hate the left wing Jews because they think the left wing Jews are undermining Israel. When they say they hate the ADL, they don't say Jews shouldn't control speech in America. They say it's backfiring. What you're doing is causing more anti-Semitism. You're allying with people like Ilhan Omar who are progressive and hate Israel. So it comes from a place of Jewish self-interest.
That's a weird thing to know. Like in journalism, we were taught to never say Nick Fuentes thinks he's getting it up on someone. You have to say it appears as though Nick Fuentes thinks that he's getting it up. Like you're imbuing this motive on people.
That's what they say. Ben Shapiro, Joel Pollack, the Mort Klein, that's what they all say about these left-wing Jewish groups.
So Ben Shapiro says, my only problem with the ADL is they're making Jews look bad.
Basically, yes. Yeah, trust me, that is what they say. Joel Pollack, who's the editor of Breitbart, this is the quote I know off the top of my head. He said that the problem with the ADLs are not doing a good enough job of isolating the real anti-Semites. And they're painting everybody's anti-Semitic, so they're watering down anti-Semitism. So it's a Jewish interest that's served there.
Well, the ADL's job is to find hate, ostensibly, right? And they're saying you're doing a bad job. Now you're making that into your only problem with them is that they don't do enough for Jews.
They think anti-Semitism should be censored. They just think the ADL's doing a bad job of it.
Yeah, you think Joel Pollack thinks that I shouldn't be able to say from the river to the sea?
He thinks that maybe not you because you're pro-Israel, but he thinks people like me. He loves you. He thinks people like me should be isolated, ostracized, kicked out.
So for you to say from the river to the sea on Twitter, Joel Pollack would want you to be banned.
Not specifically that, but me being someone that says Jews shouldn't have power in America. He would say, you got to go. You got to be censored, isolated. You got to go. And by the way, Elon did ban that from the river to the sea. And I didn't see any right-wing Jews stand up and say, don't ban that. We need free speech.
Oh, I bet Ron Coleman would be totally against that.
Ron Coleman, like me.
Yeah, well, they're once burnt, twice shy when it comes to the far right, and they don't want to debate you. They see you as a lost cause. And I totally disagree. I think because I've been on both sides. You know, my political awakening is very recent. It's post 9/11. So I was kind of free Palestine for a while, and then I got to see the irredeemable values of Islam and what they've done to Europe and what they've done to everywhere but America, really. And I go, that's my priority. The Jews are cool, besides the bad ones.
Yeah.
You know, and to say Jews shouldn't have power, like, what defines a Jew? So you have some atheist Jew married to a black woman who's doing a great, like say Alex Jones. We found out that his mother was Jewish, and he's married to this black chick who doesn't give a fuck about Jews. Should he not have InfoWars?
If he identifies as Jewish and is loyal to Jewish identity, then I don't think he should have power in America. I think America's Christian.
Should he have InfoWars?
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting question. Should they be able to own media companies? I mean,
You know,
not at scale. I don't
like
think they should be able to be
Jewish
multi-billionaires. I don't think
lady,
Larry
by the
Ellison should
way.
have as much power as he has. He's literally loyal to Israel. And he's an atheist.
I mean, outside of the
What?
Did you say something?
Didn't he like marry? Speaking about, didn't he like marry a Jewish lady or something like that?
Gavin?
Yeah, no, Alex Jones.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. He's had a couple of wives.
Right. So basically, I saw the whole thing. Basically, got the answer versus. So basically, non-Jews in the West is 10 to 13% blonde, while Ashkenazi Jews are like 18 to 14% blonde. So it's around the same thing basically. So I guess it's not as rare in Jews to be blonde. It's basically the same rate as white people. But anyways.
it's just implausible. It's sort of like when Richard Spencer told me that all blacks have to leave America. We have to make America all white. I'm like, that's the implausibility that makes it retarded.
I don't think it's implausible. I think that we need to make it clear. Well, you make that face, but you yourself admitted. I mean, look at these attitudes towards Jews, how quickly they're changing. And I think if there's
So we ship them back to Africa?
not ship them back, but there needs to be a recognition that the double standard they have is not going to fly here. And by that I mean all non-Jews are expected that we're all Americans. We're all going to treat each other equal. We're not going to be preferential towards each other. But Jews, they get to look out for themselves, and they get to do this bullshit where Larry Ellison is going to buy TikTok on behalf of Netanyahu to suppress criticism of Israel. Like that's blatant influence peddling.
But they don't have their own interests. As I said, like they're pro-Palestine. They hate Israel.
But Bill Ackman, Sheldon Adelson, Mary Adelson, Larry Ellison, all these guys are pro-Israel. They're not. You're talking about some shithead leftists that are 20 years old. We're talking about billionaires.
I'm talking about walk through.
I'm saying, I'm just curious, these rich Jewish billionaires, do they think they are against not white nationalism, but like a white that believes that they should get married to their own kind? Do you think they would be against that or no? Or
I'm sorry, man. My audio went out. Will you say that again?
do you think like these Jews, like something I just think of, like the extreme right ones that like marry within their own kind? Do you think they are anti white people marrying within their own kind, or?
I think if they heard a white person say that they were very interested in marrying within their own kind, they think that all white people should do it. I think that would make them nervous.
Right, but I mean, I don't think they'll be that much against it compared to the average white person, or would they? Or
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'd be. I think most of them would be offended by it, like in some way, or they wouldn't like it.
I mean, I think the Orthodox Jews wouldn't care. They would be like whatever. Like the ones that are very
Maybe you're correct. I can't. I don't know for sure. You could be correct.
I mean, the Orthodox Jews I know, they're very like, how they put this, don't care about the outside world, don't care about they only care about stuff that have to do with them, if that makes sense. They don't like care about like how do they put this, like issues about like racism, stuff like that. You got what I mean or no? Or
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So
CNN and talk to every liberal media reporter there, every anchorman, every
They're
journalist.
pro-Israel. What happened at CBS? When Ta-Nehisi Coates went on CBS spewing pro-Palestine sentiment, the host, who was a Jew, viciously attacked him. The host's boss apologized for the outburst. That person's boss stood by the host because that person was Jewish. Who owns CBS? It's Sherry Redstone, who's a Jew. She backed the host. And now CBS is bought by David Ellison, who's Jewish, son of Larry Ellison, and they paid Bari Weiss $100 million to be the editor-in-chief there. She's an Israeli spy.
An Israeli spy.
Yes. She studied under Yoram Hazony at the Shalem Center in Israel, and then they set her up to work for Brett Stevens at the Wall Street Journal. He got to start at Jerusalem Post. And they trained her up in writing op-eds so she could be a dutiful propagandist for Israel.
I mean, I talk to New Yorkers, I talk to Jews in media, and I'm alarmed at how much disdain they have for Israel, for Orthodox Jews. Yeah, I guess CBS, yes, is predominantly pro-Israel, but it's not the vibe I get from these liberal Jews. They're, as Ezra Levant says, they're Bolsheviks, and they don't care about anything but winning and power. And if that means fucking over Jews, by all means, let's do it. Exactly like Nancy Pelosi, who's happy to have California burned to the ground as long as she has her gated community and her own money and her own mansions. That's what elite whites do. They are ethnomasochists, they're lemmings. And so my goal, if they're happening, is for you to see these powerful Jews as elite whites.
But they're not white. They're not white. They don't see themselves as white, and they're not white.
They're wrong. Everyone's white.
Everyone in the world.
Here's a way to see whiteness just for fun. Who do you not want moving in next door? So even a lot of blacks are white. Like Denzel Washington moves next door. Nobody, maybe you might have a problem with it, but most white people are like, cool, I got a good one next door. I wonder if we could become friends. So this whole like complaining about racism in America, no one has a problem with Mexicans. No one has a problem with Jews, really. No one has a problem with elite.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you over the audio.
Okay with Denzel Washington moving next door. Is this anybody who you're like, he believes anybody that's white is anybody that you're not afraid of moving next door? Would you be okay with Denzel Washington moving next door, or?
I think I probably would, but I think Nick makes the point after this. I wouldn't be fine living in a neighborhood of nothing but Denzel Washingtons.
Right. But the thing about Gavin, I don't think he's like as right wing as Nick on the race issue. Like, isn't he married to like an Indian, or he's a lot more moderate on the race issue than Nick.
Yeah, but I
is.
think she's like Native American Indian. I think. I don't think she's from India.
Right, but I'm saying, but Gavin McInnes is a lot more moderate on this issue than Nick Fuentes. He's a. Would you agree with me, or
Yeah, I'd say so.
yeah?
Blacks, like upper middle class and up blacks. So the only people that can really complain about racism are ghetto blacks, and they mostly deserve prejudice. It's more like post-judice at this point because we've seen the behavior.
Yeah.
So the fact that we talk about racism constantly in this country when we're talking about half of the 14% and everyone else is basically treated as white.
Well, what I would say about the blacks in the neighborhood is, because I was thinking about that exact example the other day.
Sorry. 1 second. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, back again.
Position, because it's sort of an interesting question. How many black families on your block and neighborhood are you comfortable with? Because if you're the only white family on the block, and let's say they're all civil and polite, but you're the only white family, you're probably going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like an alien, a minority.
Well, I definitely get that living in a Jewish neighborhood. I'm definitely not wanted as the minority. But sometimes hypotheticals break apart. Like the idea that you're on a street and there's 50 Denzel Washingtons around you is just not going to happen.
It's happening in Houston, Texas with all these Indians.
Denzel Washington.
Not Denzel's, but like Indians that are civil and polite and high earning. There's a lot of subdivisions that are all Indian with like
Ali
two white
Jamal.
families. People go, I don't know if I have a problem with one Indian family in my neighborhood, but the whole neighborhood goes
That's
Indian.
kind of what happened to Astoria, Queens. It just became completely Indian. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm reminded of that Charlie Kirk thing where they said, what if America had all the same values?
You remember Ali Jamal, or you're not too much into that lore? Or
I try to stay away from that. You know, I've brushed up against it a couple times, but
you never heard of Ali
you see
Jamal?
him- I've seen him written about by a writer that I read sometimes.
Yeah. No, you never. Jane McNeil spoke about him.
Christian and everything, but they were all Pajeets. And it's like, you can't do that. Like your hypothetical is too obtuse for me to think about it.
But that's where it's going.
Yeah, but the other problem with that hypothetical is it's going there, but it's not going there in the sense that they're not Christian, they're not fans of the West, they're not assimilating, they're not learning English, they're not even liking America. When the World Cup is on, the Albanians have the Albanian flag on their car. They have no interest in assimilating. The whole idea of Henry Ford. Did you ever hear about the melting pot thing? He made one. You go up a ladder, down a ladder, you're in a pot that's as big as this room, and then you pledge allegiance to the flag, you sing the national anthem, and you go up another ladder, and you keep the flag you were given, and it's obviously symbolic. You don't literally melt. And that notion, like I went to Ellis Island recently, and they kept it as is, and the last thing you see when you walk out is this massive painting banner that just says "Be loyal." They don't do that anymore.
Right.
In fact, I would argue often when immigrants come here and they want to assimilate, they become anti-American because that seems to be the norm.
Right.
So they are assimilating in a bizarre sense.
Right. I would say that, when I talk about that example, like let's say they had values that we were okay with, it's just meant to kind of suss out the fact that on some level race does matter. Because even all things being equal, I still wouldn't feel comfortable being a minority in America, as a white person.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, we have different backgrounds. I immigrated to Canada in the 70s, and I was with a big wave of Pajeets. And they were, because Canada's considered Britain, and Britain, all the colonies would come in. Jamaicans, they played cricket, they drank Guinness, they loved soccer. So they assimilated quite easily, as did I. And it was a different type of immigration because they were pro-Western. And so back then, I don't know, you didn't really see color. I know that sounds naive, but as the numbers went up, it didn't seem so bad. And now there's no, it just seems like apples and oranges now. Like they don't want to assimilate these Pajeets. They totally outnumbered the place. And so you can't even discuss the concept of them being Western and Christian because that hasn't happened.
Right.
We used to open the gates, close them, and let everyone get on the same page. Open the gates, close them, great system. And then we broke the hinges off the gates. And so now immigration is just, it's fruitless to do analogies anymore because we see what's happening and it's fuck you.
Right.
And that's something we should focus on. Not the Jews. I'm fucking sick of talking about Jews. I remember Cernovich said that once. He goes, I'm happy to talk about the Jews and Israel like once a month. But I need a fucking break. Like hanging out with Jake Shields, I had to lie down after. Because it was this, then we drove to the city, it was all Jews. Then we went to 9/11, the memorial, that was all Jews. Jews did that. And then it was like, I had to go get a beer at that point. It was just like, it gets tedious. And I think that's sort of the other thing I was saying too, is this crutch becomes, like the left has, I call them Nazi glasses, where everything is about fucking white supremacy.
Right.
And the right does that with the Jays.
Yeah, I think there's some that do that, but at the same time, they are kind of all over the place. Like look at the Trump administration. There's obviously things they're not doing, or they're not like directly involved. Let's say like enforcement of illegal immigration. Stephen Miller's running it, but it's not a Jewish issue. You got the corporate tax cut. You got.
But when you do, who was it, Mayorkas or whatever his name was?
Mayorkas.
So you would blame him for open borders and say he's a Jew.
This is the thing that annoys me about is how could you like? Did you see the sort of like sometimes the dissident right also act like the Jews in the sense they believe that they could be, what's it called again? They could be kind of racist and be ethnocentric, but Jews can't. Do you get what I mean, or am I?
No, they can, but this is our country.
Right? No, for
This is
sure.
not the Jewish state.
No, for sure. But I'm saying like they don't believe like Israel should like. They're not like for Israel people like Israel believing that. That's what I mean to say is like they're against Jews acting or the Jewish people acting ethnocentric, but they're against.
I don't know if they're necessarily feeling that way outside of the current state where it's so uneven. Like they're kind of using and abusing us. I think if they were doing their own thing, I don't think anyone would have a problem with that.
But do you think?
At least I don't think so. Maybe there's some people.
But do you think that's the problem with the messaging though? Is like with the right wing messaging is like it got to the point where now it became like the culture where we thought it became that we say we don't see color. you get what I mean to say by that? Is that you criticize it makes it look like it. Do you get what I mean, or am I?
I kind of see what you're getting at, but I just
I feel like many
I guess I have to say I see what you're getting at, but I don't really think that it's that prominent.
I mean, many dissident writers don't like the Israel. I believe it should be given back to the Palestinians. So, or I mean, like, would you agree with that, or?
Look, there are some unhinged people that just hate all things Israel, hate all things Jewish, and they're just going to take the opposite side of anything. They're going to say, "Oh, okay, Israel doesn't want Palestine to belong to the Palestinians. That's what I want." They just take the opposite side on everything. So yeah, like they're going to say,
Right. I mean, this is the main thing that annoys me somewhat about the whole Palestinian issue, and I sort of get, but it's like it's the same people. Is if America would do, and I get where, and you explained to me clearly, it's because we bankroll Israel. That's your problem. But the thing is that many of them like don't like, if like Mexico. I know Mexico does it, but like if a bunch of Mexican gangs would just do like a whole October 7th massacre, you don't think these same people would be for going reckless on Mexico? Or you agree with me on this or no? Or like,
yeah, I think I think they probably would, but it's a little different because it's not like we don't run Mexico in the same way that Israel runs Gaza. Like there's a different history there. There's a different situation going on. That would just be like a country attacking us. That would be a sovereign country attacking us. It's just different.
Okay, fine, but like these Indian reservations, like another good example, the Indian reservations, they're controlled by America basically. I mean, like they're not like
Yeah, sure.
if they would do that, you wouldn't want like, you get what I mean? That's what kind of, and I get where you're coming. I get where it's because Israel is America bankrolls Israel, but I feel like it's more than that with some people. It's more than many of the people gripers. It's more than that. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, but like I said, they hate Israel and they hate Jews, so they're just going to take the other side on everything. There's not like they don't have a logical underpinning. They're just like, hey, I don't like these people. I'm tired of what they're doing here, so I'm just going to take the opposite position on everything.
Right.
But then you would sort of close your eyes when it comes to Stephen Miller fixing the problem.
Well, my point when I say that is you wouldn't say that that's like having to do with the Jews as an organized force. Like, the theme of that is not Jews. But I'm saying that
So it's Jewish when Mayorkas does it, but it's not Jewish when Miller
I'm
does
not
it.
talking about Mayorkas. What I'm talking about is which issues have to do with Jews and Israel and which ones don't. Immigration enforcement doesn't really have to do with Jews and Israel. Tariffs doesn't really have to do with Jews and Israel. The corporate tax cut doesn't. What does have to do with Jews and Israel is supporting anti-Semites.
I mean, like I disagree with Nick though. I'm saying, but don't many Jews promote immigration? Like, isn't he like going away from his original like? That's they don't like the shape shifting.
He said immigration enforcement. He said immigration enforcement.
Right. I mean, well, still, I mean, like many Jews are anti-immigration enforcement and are used by his side to promote it. That Jews are doing it to what do they call again? To try to dismantle the West. So that's one thing. I just don't like the shape shifting here. Is like he says.
I don't think it's shape shifting. He's saying enforcement. Like they could still be allowing a bunch of people in or not. Like I mean, they still might want to open the borders or have a bunch of immigrants come in. And but I think it is probably kind of true that like most of the what you would call like the left-wing Jews are very anti-immigration enforcement. So it is interesting that he puts that in a different category here than I would expect.
From Canary Mission, we're told who to deport. That happened in the State Department. What does have to do with them is bombing Iran because they instigated that war. They launched
if we start a full-on war with Iran, I'm on your side. I want that. But most Jews don't want that. Like you keep saying, Israel's going to get us into a global war. If that happens, you were right.
I'm saying they're trying to get us into a war with Iran.
What did I say?
A global war.
Well, that is a global war.
Not really.
If China and Russia gets involved,
but Russia won't upset Israel, and China won't get involved directly. They don't intervene to save Iran. And so it would just be a regime change war. I mean, it'd be a tall order, but I don't believe that would necessarily turn into World War III. Realistically, we're already in World War III. That's neither here nor there. But they are the ones egging us on. They want us to pursue regime change in Iran.
I mean, would you really mind if the Iran war is between America? If Russia and China won't get involved, would you be so upset with an Iran war or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, but it's definitely not better than a world war. I would put that.
In their interest, Israel and its interests. You also have the education policy, holding the money against the Ivy League universities hostage to put in place these pro-Israel, pro-Jewish policies. Larry Ellison taking over TikTok. He's basically doing that at the behest of Netanyahu. So it's like, not everything has to do with them, but there's a lot of things that do have to do with them. And I will talk about those things wherever they are. I'm not going to say, well, I'll only talk about it once a month. It's like, if they're flagging people for criticizing Israel and kicking them out of the country, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, but every sane, rational Jew would agree with you on that.
I don't think they would. I think that people like Shapiro and many conservative Jews, they love to see these pro-Palestine people getting kicked out. They say they're terrorists. The Heritage Foundation came up with that policy.
Let's call them in.
So
Call a Jew.
Which one?
I can't tell you. They want to be anonymous. But so your contention is that a lot of Jews are happy with people being deported for anti-Semitic beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll ask if you can say who he is. This guy represents all Jews.
saw this clip on Twitter or no?
Hey, can I say who you are? This is Ron Coleman on the line. Nick is under the impression that most Jews are cool with people being deported for having anti-Semitic beliefs.
That's funny. I think the vast majority of like people being reported or like
People being-
or people,
Students
people who
on
are-
visas.
people on visas.
Students on visas, like at Columbia.
I think most Jews are cool with that. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for calling. Well, yeah, I think I misunderstood the question. I thought you were saying just general American
No,
citizens.
the policy that the State Department they're running.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of okay with that too.
Okay, so-
Like you're here on a visa and you hate America. I don't even think Chinese people should go to our schools.
I agree with that, yeah.
Like they're learning how to attack us. I don't all these.
Well, I agree with Gavin actually here. I don't like. I sort of get where Nick is coming from, but at the end of the day, what's it called again? Being an immigrant here is a privilege, not a right. So I believe we should revoke any visas for any reasons. You get what I mean, or?
Yeah, I totally agree. But here's the problem: we were never deporting these people for being anti-American or anti-white, and many of them are. But now that they're being anti-Semitic, we're deporting them for their views. Now, I'm all for it because all the ones that are anti-Semitic have other issues too, and they shouldn't be here. But we never did this for people, and they were spewing anti-white stuff for a long time, anti-American stuff all along, and we never cared.
Yeah, but I mean, like, to be fair to what the Gavin's caller, I think most Jews, the left-wing ones, are anti-deportation, would be anti-deportation for this case. I think the one that he asked was probably like a right-wing Jew, and he assumes all Jews believe he lives in a sort of...
Or the centrist ones. I mean, look, Bill Ackman was a Democrat. He switched because of this issue, and he's not the only one that's like that. Like a lot of them that are just kind of ride the fence, they switch up. Like the Bill Kristols or the middle-of-the-road people. But Bill Ackman's, I think, the best example.
Okay, fine. So yeah, let me just end the video.
Sheiks who come here from Muslim countries, they're happy to pay $150,000 a year, the foreign fee. But then Osama bin Laden went to Ivy League schools. I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, good. So yeah, that's not really free speech.
Well, here's why it is, though, because it's part of clearly a concerted campaign to suppress that kind of sentiment on campus. If the Department of Education comes in and says, we're going to bankrupt you and we're going to cancel all your visas and we're going to deport students unless you implement anti-protest rules, unless you change your curriculum on Israel, etc., this is like a chilling effect on speech.
We're looping around. I mean, you know how I feel about that. It sounds terrible, but under the circumstances, these schools are fucking insane. So it's drastic measures.
Why not just arrest the people that are doing the bad things instead of like destroying free speech?
Because you came here on an invitation. Like you came here with the backstage pass to meet Motley Crue, and you're wearing shirts that Motley Crue suck. Your backstage pass is revoked.
Yeah, but they're not saying America sucks. They're protesting Israel, and they're getting bounced for that. And you're saying, well, we need to do that because I'm saying, like, if someone beats up a Jewish student, arrest that person. If they're on a visa, deport that person. But to go in and say we're going to literally just break apart free speech on this issue,
you're right. And this you'd be much more right 20 years ago. But under the circumstances, like they teach anti-Semitism, and this comes from Marxists hating the success of white people ultimately. Like how do you blame Jews on Netflix sexualizing children? That's Barack Obama. He's a Marxist.
Doing that?
Yeah, he's in charge of Netflix, curating the talent pickers. What is that, the Jews too?
Wait, is he? I don't know. What is? I think he has a contract with Netflix, but is he running the show?
Yeah,
there?
the same way Jay-Z runs the Super Bowl. Jay-Z decides who gets to play in the Super Bowl. He doesn't literally run the halftime show, but he chooses. And Barack Obama's people choose that, and he's a Marxist. And when I think of the corruption of education, I mean, it probably is a Jew who's running the unions there, although I think one of the women's, there's two unions, one of them's black. But that's Marxism. And Marxism is about destroying the West.
Well, but I think that a lot of Jews become communists because they are like subversive. I think
this is a fundamental disagreement you and I have. I believe that if you embrace Marxism, you become an atheist, you're no longer a Jew. You believe Jew is an ethnicity that's in your bones and you can never leave it, and they never want to leave it.
Yeah, well, it's an ethnicity, so yeah, it's genetic, it's matrilineal.
So George Soros is a Jew.
Yes, all day, yes.
Okay, that's the fundamental disagreement we have. Because his father was an atheist. He was raised on atheism. He speaks that stupid globalist language that they invented. What the fuck is it called?
I know what you're talking about.
Esperanto. Yeah, he's fluent. So I just see him as a Marxist saboteur with tons of money.
But even religious Jews, they will look at secular Jews as like their wayward.
This is the core of our disagreement. I totally fundamentally everything else I'm like, I see what he's saying, maybe I go. But that is like that's a wall between us. I don't think they think that. I know that here, I'll call another Jew. Like Jews fucking hate George Soros and feel no kinship with him whatsoever. Can you go tell them to hold on a sec? That's my son. He's very excited to meet you and his friends.
Hey, I thought I was watching you live.
No, it's not live. Shalom.
Oh, no way. Hey, shalom.
These are some of the Jews who own me. So I'm here with Fuentes, and we really came down to like you can invite them in, Sean. They just can't be on camera. We came down to our fundamental disagreement, and I've had this fight with him before. He believes that like even rabbis, Republican Jews, Orthodox Jews, they still feel an affiliation and a bond with someone like George Soros because he's an ethnic Jew and they're of the same cloth in a sense.
He's not 100% wrong about that, but it's.
Hey, I'm not calling you guys anymore. This is not working out for me.
No, but I'm saying he's not 100% wrong. But at the same time, like, they'd be happy to see him in jail or worse. I mean, they're not going to like save him from going to jail. They don't like him. They don't like what he does. They think he's an evil man, and they want to they want to be taken down.
So you're saying it more like a rich, educated black guy who's a judge seeing some like black monster kill a baby, and you're like, there's a kinship there, but fuck you.
No, I think that that it's more like a father turning in his son, who knows committed a crime or something, but not even like that. But I think that would be closer. I think it's.
So Soros is your son in that analogy.
I'm 200 years old, and so.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing I've learned in this debate, it's not to call Jews.
I mean,
I thought you hated George Soros. That's why I called you.
We do not like. We hate George Soros. I hate George. I am not one of them who feels any affinity towards him. I think we should write. I write him out right now. I'm not related to George Soros in any way. Book him or take him away, boys. Whatever needs to be done.
Book him
I'm
down.
against him 1,000%. I mean, I would side with Nick George Soros. I mean, I'm not on George Soros' team, and I think I can't speak for everyone. Everybody's an individual, but I think a lot of people feel the same with me. But I'm saying those who would say that there is some affinity would say, yes, I'm distantly related to him.
What percentage? Out of all the Jews in America?
Yeah, who knows? The percentages. I
thought you realized you guys love the numbers. Get me down. All right, thanks for calling. I'm gonna get back to this.
No problem.
Oh, this is really letting me down. Let's divide this up into two parts.
Okay.
Do you think I want to do a second one without Jews?
Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
Which is your favorite type of thing? So let's call it. Do you have anything else you want to add? Or?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Okay, so let's make this part one,
Okay.
the Jewish problem, and then part two will just be more jovial and stuff like that.
Okay, fine. So we're done with this video. So yeah. So just one thing before we end it here. So here's a thing I saw from Grok. Actually, let me show it to you because 1 second. Blah, blah. Yeah, so it says here that among Jewish people, some pro-Israel actors supported, while civil rights groups objected. Coalition led by the Jewish Council for Public Affairs and other Jewish organizations condemned blanket deportation taxes, warning they strip due process and chill free speech, even while insisting on anti-Semitism must be addressed. So that's what some of the Jews, which I'm not really surprised because many of them are pro-immigration. So
yeah, I think it's definitely the case that like a lot of more left-wing Jewish groups would be against it still. But if we had been deporting people for anti-Americanism, anti-American views, or anti-Christian views, like 10 years ago, a lot more Jewish groups would have been against that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But anyways, but yeah, and also, by the way, did you hear the whole thing about George Soros like collaborating with Nazis? You ever heard about that? Or
yeah, I mean, I know there's like a little bit of a sleight of hand there, but yeah,
yeah. Anyways, okay, thanks for coming on the stream. I hope it didn't take too long. Actually,
no, man, it was nice to watch it again and talk through it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, actually didn't take too long. So it was 30 minutes more than the stream was, like 57. Yeah, so wasn't too bad. There's way worse. It could have been way longer. But anyways, thanks so much for coming on. Bye.